4. Lamarck's influence. It was Lamarck, Jean-Baptiste Pierre-Antoine de Monet, 1744 to 1829, who created the word biology, and the debts which modern science owes to him is greater than is generally acknowledged. His life theory was, simply stated, that life is motion. The most essential quality of life is motion, so that the two can be equated. Life is thus development and growth, absorption and excretion, and it develops without external interference of a supernatural sort. All of man, properties and faculties, were developed by exercise of them through motion, so that experience is an important part of evolution, and past experiences constitute a part of man's basic equipment and heredity. How else could the instincts of animals, of ants, spiders, migrating birds, and other things of similar nature be accounted for? They were either implanted, which pointed to the supernatural, or acquired, which pointed to the natural. Acquired characteristics are thus basic to Lamarckianism as they are to all evolutionary thought. Evolution must deny the transmission of acquired characteristics because it is both unprovable and false. It must assume, however, the development and transmission of acquired characteristics, or else evolution is an impossibility. Freud understood this very clearly, and thus he remained a Lamarckian and trusted in a Lamarckian anthropology in the face of no small scientific hostility, because he was better aware than were his critics on the issue at stake. The Freudian revisionists, notably Karen Horney, have to a degree substituted contemporary culture for Lamarckian anthropology as the critical influence on man, but Freud never denied the impact of culture. He simply saw the power of man's Lamarckian past as too great for the present, a fleeting moment in comparison to man's vast unconscious, to alter it more than faintly. The revisionists were thus comparable to Trofim Danilovich Lysenko, 1898 to 1976, who was ready to believe that heredity could be changed by good husbandry, which was to misread Lamarck and to make the mechanism of acquired characteristics a light and trifling one. The acquisitions gained by millions of years are not changed lightly by an agricultural experiment station or a series of sessions with a psychoanalyst. For Freud, however ridiculous or insulting to many some aspects of his anthropology might seem, if evolution were true, it had to have happened in some such fashion. Quote, "If nothing is acquired, nothing can be inherited." End quote. Lamarckism had to be maintained and developed. Many, like Jones, who claimed to be unswerving Freudians, failed to see the important issue at stake. For Jones, Freud was, quote, "what one must call an obstinate adherent to this discredited Lamarckism." End quote. Freud, on the contrary, saw the wisdom of Lamarck and sought to re-establish Lamarckism on post-Darwinian and post-Freudian theory, but his followers did not see the matter with Freud's own clarity of vision. For Freud, the issue was simple. Invalidate Lamarck, and you invalidate evolution. His followers moved with the tides and fashions of scientific thought, so that Jones could dismiss Lamarckism on the authority of Julian Huxley, than whom there is no higher authority. End quote. Lamarck, moreover, offered the very slimmest hope possible to man. Perhaps, in his long future history, man might gradually learn to control and to modify his inheritance and to acquire new characteristics. But Freud saw very little likelihood of this. As much as anyone else, Freud wanted a way out for man, and he was ready to search for it in every direction, except religiously, in biblical religion in particular. He was ready to consider many areas of study seriously, such as psychic research, which other scientists usually frowned upon, not because he was less scientific than they, but because he was more aware than most of the desperate circumstance of man. Man, guilt-ridden, was using all the products of technology only to intensify his will to death and to increase his masochistic potentialities. Freud wanted no less than anyone else to deliver man into the green pastures of uninhibited and free sexuality, but however much many read Freud in these terms, Freud, despite occasional expressions of hope, saw it otherwise, and correctly so. For to deny God's sovereign and absolute law was also to deny God's way of escape, his sovereign and saving grace. In place of this, Freud had only the sovereign and total power of an infallible inner law, with no way of escape and absolutely no grace. Stoical self-knowledge was the only possible answer.